Welcome to Brother Owl's Garden. I'm Brian, and I honor your presence here today. Thank you for stopping by. The topic that I would like to discuss today is saints and saint makers. Now, the first time I ever heard that phrase, I was talking to a monk, and the topic was, I was expressing my frustration about how so often I see good people being afflicted by rotten people. And it was upsetting me, and I was discussing that with him, and he sort of grinned a little bit and he said, that's what I call saints and saint makers. And it gave me a really good laugh that just relieved a lot of the upset feelings that I had within me. It gave me a really good laugh. And I thought about it and I said, that's actually very wise. You may have heard the expression, cops create hippies, hippies create cops. Well, they're saints and they're saint makers. So exactly what do we mean by that? Well, there are those beloved individuals, thank God for them, who are perpetually aspiring to live by a higher code, who are constantly trying to uplift their being and to evolve and ascend spiritually, to be the highest version of themselves that they can be. It would be wonderful if everyone was thinking like that all the time. But then you also have the people of the world who often bring a lot of grief and struggle and strife to people. They cause a lot of trouble. And it's easy to hate them or to judge them and look down at them. But there's another way of looking at them that has a kernel of wisdom in it. If possible, now I know that it's not always possible, according to our own individual abilities and capacities and the situation at hand, but to the fullest extent and the most often extent possible, imagine if we could look at them as the bearers of gifts. Even though we may resent them or they're unpleasant to be around or they just do nothing but bother us, drive us crazy. But that brings with it a lesson. For sure, there is a lesson behind what they're doing, even if they're not conscious of it or deliberately doing it, which is probably the case. But yet, still, the experience offers a lesson. And if we embrace and welcome that lesson and ingest it into ourselves and learn it, then we have made good use of the saint makers in helping us to become another level closer to saintliness. The poet Mary Oliver said so beautifully in her writings, "Someone I love once gave me a box of darkness. It took many years before I realized that this too was a gift." And as Puma Freddy once said, or several times said actually, each flower has its nectar. If you look at each person as a flower offering nectar, we're just hummingbirds, we're honeybees, to drink that nectar and to be nourished by it and to be benefited by it and to grow from it. And, the pretty, fragrant flowers, they're easy. It's those flowers that we don't like, the ones that stink to us, that offer lessons we may not want, but that are precious and probably very transformational. So if we can see those difficult kind of people as offering nectar to our inner hummingbird, our inner honeybee, it kind of makes it a little easier to handle it, and I think that it's a transcendent way of perceiving difficult people. So in this world, we have saints and we have saint makers. In conclusion, I offer the quote from Kobayashi Isa that I love so much. And there was a time in my life when I was living in a place that I'll be honest with you, I absolutely hated it. I just couldn't force myself, I couldn't trick myself into pretending that I liked it at all. And I had a very, 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 challenging struggle of a time dealing with it while I lived at that place. And it was then that this quote came to me, and I believe in divine providence. Like I needed to hear this quote, and I've never forgotten it ever since. Kobayashi Isa. Wherever there are humans, there are flies. And Buddhas. And there you have it. Wherever there are humans, there are flies. And Buddhas. I hope this has been meaningful and useful to you. I bless you. I thank you for stopping by Brother Owl's Garden today. And always remember to abide in thankfulness for your highest good in the most benevolent outcome of the divine will.